This is ES for Renko on January 13th, 2012. Before we get into today's trades, I just wanted to briefly mention yesterday's chart. These are the trades I made yesterday, and I got out of it right here, and I had promised my wife I was going to take her shopping into lunch yesterday, so I missed out on this trade here. But I just wanted to mention this because I hope the other triangle trend traders out there jumped on this trade somewhere in here and rode it out to the end. I think it was an interesting day because it really formed a V right in here and ended up back at the same level it started out as. Well, turned out to be an expensive lunch since I missed this trade. Now here is the first trade of Friday the 13th, 2012. I shorted the ES right here, and it seemed like a pretty obvious short. The swing cycle was moving down here. The other indicators all indicated going short. The down triangle here, the DIX was red in here, linear regression slope was down here, and it was just being crossed by the R squared, which is a good sign that there's a downtrend here. And the Bollinger Band differential oscillator had crossed below its zero line, was moving down here, so everything said jump on this trade. Well, I get in the trade, and the trade didn't go anywhere. In fact, it moved back up here, and so I was tempted to get out here and just take a small loss. However, if you recall my webinar I did a week ago, I mentioned in there that the DMI differential will let you stay in a trade longer than you would otherwise. So there were a number of green dots here which indicated a bias to the upside, but the DMI differential indicator line stayed below those green dots here and moved down. And even though these indicators and linear regression slope turned against the trade, also the Bollinger Band differential oscillator stayed well below the zero line. It briefly turned yellow here, but then it turned red and was crossing down through the Bollinger Bands again. And so because the swing cycle stayed down here, didn't cross above its variable band, that was another reason I stayed in the trade. Then when it finally crossed the variable band and went up here, the equity was red and was moving down here. So that's the reason I didn't get out of the trade here. Now the reason I got out of the trade here when this triangle completed was that now even though the dots had turned green, the indicator line was still well below the dots, but the swing cycle VB had crossed well above the variable band here. The variable band was starting to move up, and it's turned green up in here, and so this was going in the same direction as the equity, whereas here it was not. So that's the reason I got out of the trade here. And this trade took an hour in through here, and there was a 4-point profit on it. Now here was the second trade of the day, and I got in at 2 bars after I got in, after I ended the first trade, and I had plenty of time to get in the trade on this bar here because there was 20 minutes elapsed between when this bar completed and when this bar completed, so there was no rush to get in here, and I could think it over for quite a while here. In any event, I did go long on this. An up triangle had formed here. The DIX was up, and the dots were green in here, and the DMI differential was approaching its zero line here, and the linear regression slope was green and moving up here, and R squared has started to move up a little bit in here, and the Bollinger Band differential oscillator was moving up toward its zero line here. So generally speaking, the preponderance of evidence was to go long on here, and particularly because the swing cycle, you can see, was up to 100 right here, and on a good trend, it can stay up at its extreme for some time. So, and it cycles between 0 and 100, and you can see the level of the variable band right here was 53, and I arbitrarily got out of the trade when it hit resistance at today's open, and there had been a number of other times where resistance was hit at right around today's open. So I anticipated resistance here, and it did stall out right in here, and so this was a 4-point trade up and through here. Fortunately, it didn't take nearly as long as this trade, but anyway, there was a total of 8 points for the morning, and so I kind of look at this as making lemonade out of a lemon today.